there, Bari Baumgartner here. I'm back in my office in Charleston after a week away in Phoenix, and I've been combing through your questions. Thank you for that, by the way. I love the questions that I've been getting as part of the You Can Ask Me Anything month of February. And I wanted to take a minute to answer a question from Will, who said, essentially, Bari, what is the laziest, easiest, highest leverage way that you can have a live event? And Will, it's a really great question, and I get it all the time. And the reason is we see a lot of big names out there who are having huge events, stadium events, massive virtual events, and challenges and webinars and all these things. And we start to think, okay, what's the laziest, easiest path to getting the money that I want to have? That happens to be the business we're in. So you ask a really good question of exactly the right person. Here's what I want you to think about. There's a saying, if I had more time, I'd write you a shorter letter, right? And I think it was Winston Churchill who said, if I had more time, I'd give you a shorter speech. The point of all that is, it's harder to write a shorter talk, it's harder to give a TED talk than it is to give a 3-day workshop, or even a half-day workshop, or even a 90-minute talk, right? The shorter the thing is that we do, whether it's a letter or a talk, the harder it is to do. Why is that? Because everything has to be perfect. Every word has to be perfect. There's no room for error. If you have a limited amount of time, everything has to be super, super dialed in. So the biggest mistake that I see people make in our space is they're just getting started out. They might be a little lazy. They might want the easy path, but they definitely want more money. And they think the fastest way to do it would be something shorter. Like, that must be easier. It must be easier to give a webinar, must be easier to do a half day, must be easier to do a 1 day than to do, say, a 3-day event. But here's the thing, Will, and for everybody else listening, I really want you to hear me on this. It is so much easier to do a 3-day event than it is to do a 1 day, a half day, a workshop, a webinar, because it's more forgiving, because you have more time to build likability with your audience, to build trust with your audience, to build reciprocity with your audience, to build a gap with your audience from where they want to be and where they are. And the best thing about exposing a gap is when we see a gap, we can't unsee it, and then we want to fill it. And what's the fastest path to fill it? A high ticket offer. So here's the thing I want you to really focus on. What's the fastest path to time and money freedom, to having a purpose-driven payday, to having income and impact? It's a high ticket offer. And what's the fastest path to making a high ticket offer? A live event, a 3-day live event. And what's the fastest path to having a live event? A virtual event. You know why? You can be super lazy, Will. You don't have to go out and get a hotel contract, take on liability, have a budget, a room block, a food and beverage minimum. You don't have to do all of that, and your attendees don't either. They don't have to travel. You can do it from your home, and they can do it from their home. I've been calling it the democratization of live events because, quite frankly, what virtual has ushered in is the fact that as long as you have a computer and a Zoom account and a TV or a large screen so that you can see everybody, you can run a 3-day live event from your bedroom, your living room, your garage, your basement, wherever you want to do it, and your attendees can attend from anywhere. So it's a really lazy way to get your event done, but more importantly, it's super highly leveraged because a 3-day event is designed, if you do it properly, to have the structure do the selling for you, which means you don't have to work super hard. You just have to serve hard, and then you can sell easy. And I often think of that as serve and sell for 3 days a year and serve for 362 days a year, right? So it allows you to be lazy the rest of the year because you have a highly leveraged, high ticket offer harnessed through the power of a live event, ideally a virtual live event. So there you have it, Will. You can do this. All of you can do this. You could be hosting a live event this month, this quarter, and be changing your life and the life of your Right Fit clients forever. That's what I want you to remember. That's something you actually can do, courtesy of the world we live in right now, increasingly online world. So if you love this content, I want you to do some likes here. I want you to post questions in the chat because, as I mentioned before, the whole month of February, I am going to be answering your questions. It's my give back for the month of February. So get your questions posted here, and I'll be back here to remind you that you can do this.